Hello, Heathens. Welcome to the Blótcast. Today we will linger a bit longer at the fiery topics. With last time we talked about Loki, and today we're going to talk about another celebration again that is deeply rooted in the European heritage. Every country has modern adaptations of it. So let's have a look into the ancient origins of these celebrations of the beginning of the summer. So let's talk about that, shall we? Of course, I'm talking about Beltaine, Beltane, or whatever name you wanna give it. And we start with a short introduction to it. Beltaine, also known as Beltaine, is a Gaelic festival that marks the beginning of the summer. In modern times, it is held on May 1st or around midway between the spring equinox and the summer solstice. This festival is known in Irish as La Beltaine, in Scottish Gaelic as Lata Beltaine, and in Gaelic as La Boaltín or just Boaldin. It was widely celebrated in Ireland, Scotland, and the Isle of Man, and Beltaine is one of the four main Celtic seasonal festivals alongside Samhain, Imbolc, and Lugnasad, and is very similar to the Welsh Callan May. And it's still celebrated today, and even more today. So I've just looked into celebrations in England, and the people going wild there for Beltaine. So let's have a deeper look into it. Let's talk about the name origin. In Irish culture, the festival of Beltaine is called La Beltaine, as I said, which means the day of Beltaine. And the month of May is known as Mia Beltaine, or month of Beltaine. And in Scottish or Gaelic, it's referred to as Lata Beltaine with an older spelling of Beltuin. The term La Bude Beltaine in Irish or Lata Bude Beltaine in Scottish translated to the bright or yellow day of Beltaine, symbolizing the beginning of the summer. The name Beltaine is anglicized in various forms, including Beltaine without an E at the end, then with an E, without an A, and Beltane with an Y at the end. An alternative historical name of the festival is, I'm going to slaughter this, Ketchamain, meaning the first of summer, which is preserved in the Scottish Gaelic name for May and Ceartain. Yes, I'm sorry for that. The timing. I found another source that talks about another translation before we go through the time. And in this translation, Beltaine means the fire of Bel, from an ancient Celtic god called Bel or Belanus, that was associated with healing, the sun, and the growth of the crops. I will talk about him later in the script. Now, we talk about the timing. When is Beltaine normally celebrated? As I said, 1st of May is generally recognized as a feast day, which comes from the Christianization of Ireland and Scotland and the subsequent use of the Gregorian calendar. So that's our calendar today. Other sources see Beltaine in the middle between spring equinox and Midsummer. For example, Midsummer is the longest day. And in 2024, this would be as followed. So the spring equinox was on the 20th of March, and the longest day will be on the 20th of June. And in between are 92 days, and the result would be the 5th of May as a celebration day for Beltaine. This is actually perfect for me because I will celebrate at the 4th to the 5th of May, so it's perfect. And what do the Celtic traditions tells us when Beltaine would normally be celebrated? And one of the sources tells us that when the hawthorn blooms, so when the specific flower blooms, then it's time to celebrate. Interpretation for a later date at the end of April or beginning of May. Wait, I bungled up my script. Right, this is old. I'm so sorry. I will give one more alternative time when when Beltaine can be celebrated. and this would be the fifth full moon after Yule. There's a source that talks about Beltaine as a full moon festival, hence the cleansing aspect of Beltaine. This means that Beltaine falls on the 24th of April, actually, so last week. And does that mean now that we are too late with this episode, or I'm too late with this episode? Well, yes and no. It always depends on what you want to achieve with the celebration of a festive. And in a modern perspective, it is important when you have the time to do it. So our modern time doesn't give us much room for these celebrations, and they are not like national celebrations when you have a day off. It's a bit of a timing issue. And as I said, for me, I will celebrate with the in the middle of the spring equinox and the longest day, from the 5th of May to from the 4th of May to the 5th of May. Right, let's talk about the findings of Beltaine, because it's always interesting for me to see if ancient sites can be interpreted as sites that were built for the celebration of Beltaine. And there are actually two very significant ones. The first one is actually called Beltane, like one of the names of Beltaine, and it is a Bronze Age stone circle located just south of Raphoe in County Donegal, Ireland, dating back to around 2100 to 700 BC. This site may have originally hosted Neolithic monuments, such as passage tombs, and evidenced by its proximity to the now destroyed passage tomb complex at Kilmonester. The circle made up of 64 stones overlooks Crognan Hill, where a Neolithic mount-site sits atop. The center of Beltane stone circle has been disturbed, likely due to local residents digging up stones in the 7th century for building purpose. As reported in the 1830s by the Ordnance Survey, these stones include various markings such as cup markings and patterns resembling star constellations, and some lean towards potentially due to earlier removals or natural settlings. Beltane was used for rituals, aligning with the Celtic agricultural calendar, marking significant times like the solstice and the equinox. It may have had astronomical alignments with the sun and the moon, and an outlier stone and a carved stone head, now in the National Museum in Dublin, suggests that the site's extended sacred use. The name Beltane is thought to be derived from Beltaine, as we know, a Celtic fertility festival celebrated in modern days on the May 1st, indicating that the site's historical cultural significance in marking seasonal festivals. There is another one that is called the sacred site of Uisneach. Oh, I butchered this as well. I will try to skip it next time. Is believed to be the source of the Beltane Gaelic seasonal festival. Located in Westmeath and protected as a national monument, Uisneach was considered to be the spiritual and mystical center of the country. According to the Ulster Circle, it is here that the mythological figures are buried, including the Irish god Luke from the celebration of Lugnasad and Dagda of the Tuath de Dennen. I think this is the first race or first family of people that first inhabited Ireland, but I'm not quite sure about this. As an ancient ceremonial site, excavations of the hill revealed a medieval road as well as tombs, mounds, and standing stones. Legend reads that the main bonfire from which all hearth fires were rekindled was here, at the hills of Uisneach. An annual Beltane fire celebration is held each year at this site. As I said, in Great Britain, people are going crazy with this celebration. Let's have a look into the writing. So when was Beltane first mentioned? The earliest mention of Beltane is in Old Irish literature from Gaelic Ireland. According to the early medieval texts, Sanas Cormac, written by Cormac Mac Cullennan and Tormac Emir, Beltane was held on 1st of May and marked the beginning of summer. The texts say that to protect cattle from disease, druids would make 2 fires with great incantations and drive the cattle between them to protect them for the summer. Let's talk about associated gods. I think the first one I mentioned before, it's Bel or Belenus. He's also called Belinos, Belenus, and has very different spellings from the name. He's an ancient Celtic god associated with healing. His cult extended from the Italian peninsula to the British Isles, centered mainly in Aquileia on the Adriatic coast. Belenus was often compared to Apollo through the Roman practices of Interpretatio Romana, by his worship maintained distinct characteristics. The name Belenus appears in about 51 inscriptions, predominantly in Aquileia, the hub of this worship, and also across regions where Celtic languages were spoken, including Gaul, Noricum, Illyria, Britain, and Ireland, so Central Europe basically. Linguistically, Belenus is thought to mean the bright one or the shining one, derived from a Proto-Indo-European root suggesting brightness. However, recent scholarship has questioned this interpretation, suggesting alternative meanings such as the master of power from Gaulish for strong or powerful, from the Gaulish word for strong and powerful, or associating it with psychoactive plants or sources of water, reflecting his connection to nature and healing. The etymology of Belenus remains a topic of academic debate still. Other gods that would fit in this celebration of Beltaine would be Cernunnos, of course, as the central nature god of the Celtic people, Sol as the sun, Mani as the moon, and then, of course, all kinds of pairs of gods, so wife and husband, like Wotan and Frigga, or Freya and Freyr. So you will find many more deities that are associated with this time of year, and if you decide to deep dive into the celebration, you will find them. Now let's talk about ancient rituals and legends. I found a lot about them because a lot of Irish folklore actually takes place at Beltaine. I will give you a broad overview. You can read into many, many more. Beltaine traditionally marks the start of summer and was a key time for moving cattle to summer pastures. Rituals were performed to protect crops, cattle, and people, and to promote growth. Bonfires believed to have protective powers through their smoke, ashes, and flames were a central feature. Customs include walking around or jumping over bonfires, and households would extinguish their fires only to relight them with the flames from the Beltaine bonfire. The festival also included feasting, and offerings were made to Ausi, a supernatural race. So this is predominantly Irish here, of course. Homes and kettles were decorated with yellow mayflowers, and in some parts of Ireland, people created a May bush, a thorn bush adorned with ribbons, flowers, and colored shells. Like Samhain, Beltaine marks a period when the boundary between realms is especially permeable. According to some customs, this makes it an opportune moment to communicate with spirits or engage with the fae, or fairies. However, one should proceed with caution. I found a passage regarding the subject. The fairies would steal butter from the farmers on May Eve, so yesterday. The farmers put cinders under the churns to frighten the fairies away. If they stole it on the 1st of May, they would steal it for the rest of the year. So, be careful with your butter. According to folklore, in some regions of Wales and England, women wishing to conceive children should venture out on May Eve, the last night of April, and seek a birthing stone, a sizable rock with a central opening. Passing through the hole is believed to ensure conception that night. If such a stone isn't accessible, an alternative is to locate a small stone with a hole, thread an oak branch or another type of wood through it, and place this talisman under the bed to enhance fertility. This fertility aspect runs like a common thread through all the celebrations, basically. Another ritual that was performed and still is performed is a jump over fire or in between two fires to have a better chance of conceiving a child as well. And this happy frolicking was so outrageous to the Christians that they even tried to ban this celebration in Ireland. A source tells us. The devout Puritans were scandalized by the revelry associated with Beltane festivities. In the mid 1600s, they outlawed Maypoles and sought to suppress the Greenwood marriages, so called, commonly held on May Eve. One pastor lamented that if 10 maidens went to celebrate May, 9 of them would return home pregnant. So it was a safe bet to conceal children with the celebration of Beltane. And these babies conceived during Beltane are often seen as divine blessings. They were sometimes called Mary begots, not to their conception during the joyful celebration of Beltane. Actually, I can tell you from a private life, my little daughter is a Mary begot as well, because my wife and I also did a fire jump at Beltane, and another ritual which is probably a bit more modern, and I will talk about it shortly. But yes, we conceived a child at Beltane, actually. Finally, it should be mentioned that in the Irish Book of Invasions, it was on Beltane that Patholan, the first settler of Ireland, arrived on Ireland's shores. And there are many more legends about the gods and in the Irish Celtic traditions that went on and about when Beltane was celebrated. So now let's derive a bit from these ancient rituals and look into modern rituals. So what can we do to celebrate Beltane? The first one we can just adapt from the sources is the bonfire. So a large fire with friends and dancing and frolicking around it, drinking and feasting. I think everybody can get warm with that idea. Another one, when the bonfire is already there, a fire jump could be performed. And the fire jump is normally is done with a partner in mind, but you can also jump for your own to make a bit of a promise to yourself that you will achieve certain goals, or with your partner, you're promising your partner yourself, or the relationship that you will have, and that you will stick together. Another modern ritual, I didn't find it in any source, is collecting the morning dew. So the morning dew of Beltane, so the day after, should or could have a healing how can I say it? Can heal and is a good luck charm to have this water. So when you have an issue, you can just put it on the body part that's hurting, or when you're feeling sick, or when you have a headache, this dew can can take away the pain from you. Let's do it like this. Now let's talk about the ritual that my wife and I performed, actually. And it was the rings and the wine. And I didn't find any source about this. It's probably a modern ritual. But the idea was to take the rings of you and your partner and put them in one glass of wine. And you will leave this glass of wine out in the night for when in the Beltane night, and afterwards you will drink out the wine and then wash the rings and then put the rings on again. This is also some kind of binding ritual, and I still have the ring and I still wear it, and it worked for me. Let's put it like this. Another ritual that is oftentimes performed in several European countries, it's maypole dancing. So a large tree or the stem of a tree is erected, and people dance with ribbons around it to form some kind of knotwork on this maypole. It's still done in Germany. Here in my village, we have a maypole on the central place, and it's renewed every year to May 1st. And of course, natural decorating, either your house, or you can even give presents or decorating the nature in your village or in your nearby forest. But always think about to not put plastic or anything like this in the forest. It needs to be something that can go into nature afterwards. Right. so far to the rituals. Now let's talk about the equivalents. So are there different celebrations of Beltane that maybe are similar in some place or totally different? I have three for you. One is Welsh, the other one is predominantly German or English as well, and the other one is for my Vikings and for the people that celebrate the Norse festives. So the first one is Callan May. Callan May, also known as Callan Haf, is a Welsh celebration marking the beginning of summer on May 1st. It features traditional activities like bonfires, Maypoles, and singing of May or summer carols. Historically, people in Wales lit bonfires made from branches of 9 different trees and ignited by wood friction, a method known as neat fire. In some rituals, individuals would jump over the fires to ensure a good harvest. Sounds pretty similar, huh? The Maypole, a tall birch pole, was part of the festivities, with the earliest mention in a mid-14th century Welsh poem. During Callan May, groups of young men would sing May carols in exchange for food and drink. These traditions share similarities with other European May Day celebrations, including the Gaelic festival Beltaine. There you go. Another celebration is the Walpurgisnacht. This is quite a common celebration here in Germany, actually, and it is heavily celebrated by female heathens, Wiccans, and witches. And it's quite strange, all of this, because first and foremost, we see yet again that the Christian saint was sculptured around a heathen celebration, but this time the Christian saint is then again transformed into a modern heathen figure of celebration. I could easily make a whole episode about this celebration, but I will try to be short here. So, what is the Walpurgisnight or Walpurgisnacht? Walpurgisnight, also known as Sant Walpurgas Eve, is celebrated on the evening of April 30th and into May 1st. It marks the eve of the feast of the Day of Saint Walpurga, an 8th century abbess in Francia. The celebration commemorates a canonization, and the transfer of her relics on May 1st in the year 870. Sant Walpurga is celebrated in Germany for a role in combating diseases such as pestilence, rabies, and whooping cough, as well as witchcraft. Was invoked by Christians seeking protection from witches through her intercession. Known for her success in converting locals to Christianity, her legacy continues with traditions like lighting bonfires on St. Walpurga's Eve across parts of Europe to ward off evil spirits. Additionally, pilgrimages to her tomb in Eichelstedt, here in Germany, during her feast day are common, with visitors often collect vials of Sant Walpurgas oil. And when I read that, I was a bit dumbfounded to what Sant Walpurgas oil is. So this oil flowed or is still flowing from relics or tombs of saints like Walpurga and is collected by faithful Christians. And what they do with that and what is the whole idea behind this, I will leave this here uncommented. It's a pretty fun read. Walpurgisnight is celebrated across various parts of Northern and Central Europe, including the Netherlands, Germany, and the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Slovenia, Sweden, Lithuania, Latvia, Finland, and Estonia. In Finland, Denmark, and Norway, similar traditions involved lighting bonfires on St. John's Eve to ward off witches in commemoration of the nativity of St. John the Baptist. And that should be all about Walpurgisnight for now. The last celebration is actually a Norse one that I talked about in my Ostara episode. So let's talk about the Sigrblot. Is a traditional Norse festival with two main contexts: a periodic celebration in the annual circle and a special event for seeking or thanking for victory in battles or endeavors. Historically noted by Snorri Sturluson in the Heimskringla Yngling-saga, the festival involved 3 key sacrifices: at the start of the winter for the year's growth, in midwinter for a good harvest, and at the beginning of the summer for victory. Common interpretations of Siegerblot include celebrating victory over the winter or preparing for Viking voyages. The timing of Siegerblot is debated, but it typically aligns with the end of April or early May, opposite the Winter Night celebration in October. This timing reflects the transition between the two halves of the year in ancient Norse tradition. Key gods associated with Siegerblot include Odin, Tyr, Freyr, and Freya, with offerings typically involved mead, honey, wine. This festival and its customs are referenced in various Eddas and sagas, emphasizing its historical and religious significance. And to my last point of my script, what do I have planned? Well, I will again call my community, my German community, to a celebration, a ritual in the forest, in the little cabin that we have here in a nearby mountain. And we will do some feasting, celebrating, and that. But we will start with some bit of breath working, a bit of saging. Maybe I will lead a course of yoga. And one of the women that will join us will actually have some kind of maypole dancing. I'm very excited about that. We will, of course, do the fire jumping with a big bonfire. And I was even told that we might have a little proposal. So let's see how everything plays out. I'm very, very excited about this all. I love Beltaine and celebrating it. And I'm celebrating it. And every year, I will think about my daughter. And I'm so happy that, she came into my life at this day. So it's a significant day for me to celebrate. And this is why a lot of planning, a lot of stress is involved with it. But on the day when we celebrate, everything will be relaxed and fun. And I'm looking forward. All right. Last thing I have to say is, of course, my goodbyes. I hope you all enjoyed this shorter episode, and I hope it was interesting to you. Maybe you already celebrated Beltaine or something similar, or you're still, like me, going to do something. Maybe this episode could give you some insights or at least some ideas how you could celebrate the beginning of summer. Either way, I would like to hear about that. So please let me know via email at theblotcast@gmail.com or in the comment section of YouTube or Instagram. I wish you all a wonderful time, and I will talk to you very soon. And as always, know that you're loved, know that you're able to love because you are love. See you next time. Take care.